Welcome to another episode of Let Me Think PodKast. Hey, we're on episode 3.
Can you believe it?
I know, right? We committed.
Very.
You feel me? We are your hosts. I'm DJ. This is the lovely Mel. Today we're going to talk about communication. We always hear how communication is key inside a relationship. We're no relationship experts, but based on what we've been through,
right? we've had some experience.
Right, had some experiences.
Yeah.
So based on our relationships and old past relationships and situations and all that, we've learned that communication is truly key.
It is key.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very much so.
Yeah.
Key.
And the first part of that is like just having the transparency, right? Mm-hmm. So like when we say like being transparent and having that in the communication is just saying like being open, like really being open, like really talking about how you feel and
stuff. Yeah, I think most relationships, we all got friends, and like you said, we've been in relationships and situations where the communication is not open communication.
Right. And
when you don't have open and transparent communication, I feel like there's a lot of things that can just be, like crossfires, like taken one way when it's not meant this way, or there are also things that could be avoided if there was open communication.
Right.
Right.
Because it's like you have those moments where, like you said, things could be avoided. So instead of me saying like, "Oh, I'm tight, right? You made me tight," it's like you can't just end it right there, right? Like,
you made me tight.
You made me tight. Like, why did that make you? Or why did that make you tight? Like, why? Like, what happened? Mm-hmm. Was it a trigger? Da da da. And I think we did all, especially in the beginning of us. Like, you were very good at communicating that you were being triggered.
Yeah.
And that made a big difference.
Yeah, so I'll give a little background with that. So I coined it what's called like trauma triggers. And trauma triggers basically are, like everybody, where your past experiences, whether it be like, trauma, those past experiences as you move forward in life or in other relationships or whatever the case may be, where something can be done and it triggers you and it can kind of like put you back in that space where you had the trauma or something about it. Sometimes can make you, let's say if you can't catch it, it'll make you spiral. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so like I said, I basically those are what trauma triggers are. And so for my little low setup, you know what I'm saying? My relationship experiences have definitely caused over the years trauma. However, even though I've experienced trauma, I decided that I wanted to be better and not bitter. I was like, you know what, Melanie? That part sucked. Or I wish that person hadn't treated me X, Y, and Z. Or I wish, in the whole setup, I take accountability for my part and stuff, like what could have been done better. Nonetheless, I want to move forward and I still want to find what it is that I am looking for, right?
Right.
But it doesn't always mean like, even though I have that mentality, all right, I'm gonna move forward, I want to be good, I want to grow as a person. That doesn't mean that am not gonna be that I can't be triggered by certain things. That's even with therapy, because for some stuff you're gonna have to test it out.
Oh yeah, and the biggest thing about testing is like for instance, we started in the wilderness. Like even me being in the wilderness, it was good. It was good, like to be there. I'm not worried about no one's feelings, emotions, or whatever the case be. But then when you are pursuing someone and you're getting into a relationship with someone, that's when you're going to be tested. Like how much did you heal from that? Like how do you handle that trigger when it hits, or do you still have that trigger? So when for instance, like when you have your triggers in the beginning, for me, that was a test for me to see like how was I gonna handle
honey.
it.
Okay. Like I told y'all, I was not because of the previous experiences, and I was like the whole good on guys. I was not trying to intentionally date. I view dating, the word dating, in my mind, I think it's different for a lot of people. For me personally, in my space of life, I was like, I'm not dating because I think that dating is you being intentional in finding your person that you could possibly be with. So at the time, I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to date because I'm not trying to get in that space with anybody, right? So like I said, here comes DJ. I was like, all right, bet Mel, we can't fumble DJ because DJ's a good catch.
But I don't want to date.
But we gonna try. Now at the very beginning.
And what was that though? I was respectful.
He was respectful, but in the very beginning, he wasn't doing it on purpose. But he was giving a lot of what I said I wanted. But it is a big difference when you say you want something and then it is in your face. It was a lot. Like, I was like, ooh. I was like, oh, no. Let me back up. So that's exactly what I did. I backed up.
She backed up.
Backed up. No. Because I got, and it wasn't anything he was doing.
Right.
But that trauma trigger came. That trauma trigger was like.
Because the crazy part is like, you were giving me energy. I would be like, I'll be like, yo, no, we cool. Like, this ain't a date. Like, this ain't that. And then it's like, what? It's like, ooh.
It was parts of me that were being my natural self. Mm-hmm. Myself was perfectly fine. You know, like my spirit and stuff was perfectly fine around his. But that flesh part, it was just a lot. Like I said, it was a lot. And it took us communicating. Yeah. Like some real deep communication to understand what was going on in my whole sphere. Yeah. Because I was like, I know he's gonna think I'm crazy. Like,
because the thing is, like, and I would appreciate it because if you didn't communicate with me, then one, I wouldn't have known, and then two, like, me being tested is like, she did all, like, she's doing this, she's moving this way, so you know what? Just let her be, dog. That's how it would have been for me. But because you communicated, and I know I already want to do something different, mm-hmm. and you're doing something different, and we created an open space from the beginning.
Yeah.
If you all go back to our last episode, you'll see like how it came together. But we did it from the beginning of having that open communication, and so that allowed us to be able to talk things out. And so like what most guys probably would have either A, would have been insecure about, or B, would have just like tossed it up. That just wasn't in me because I was able to get to know your spirit early.
My man goes. What? So when I told y'all, like, I backed up, like I legit backed up.
Yeah.
Where I was just like.
For like a week. Almost a week.
I was just like, yeah, you know, it was a little too much. So I did express that to him openly. Like, I remember we communicated.
Offering and everything.
I did. I brought him he likes, was it trolleys?
Yeah.
I brought him a whole peace offering because, like, during the whole first part of the day, I knew he knew my vibe was off. So I bought a peace offering. I offered it up to him. I offered it up and I apologized, you know, kind of for being standoffish, but I explained to him it was because this is how I'm feeling.
Right.
So ultimately I decided, like, hey, could we just take a pause? Right. You know, like I said, I didn't want to date. Can we just take a pause? So the trauma trigger got me. It did. It got me. However.
Because I was like,
it was a little period, like you said, like a week.
Yeah.
But however, like last episode, we talk about the obedience with God and how God is in this. he didn't let me go. He didn't let me go.
And I think I told her, like, throughout that week, like, I had to have my own battle with self, with ego. Oh, ego and God. So it's like, am I gonna let ego take over what God's telling me to do? Because ego was like, bro, you good. Like, you know, like, that's how it's gonna be. Like, it is what it is. But God's telling a whole nothing different things. Like, bro, if this is what you say you wanted, if this is someone that if this is what I gave you, then it's not going. It takes work. It's a requirement to make sure that she knows and feels that you gonna show up.
This goes back to, I don't even know if it was like the first episode, how I said that him doing the work prior to meeting me kind of prepared him to be able to handle me properly because of my experiences and my trauma. There was going to have to be a certain type of man that I have these trauma triggers that wasn't just going to leave so easy. You know what I mean?
And so when you
and that's what happened. He hit me up.
Yo.
He was like, "Hey, I think I was doing a photography session." And he was like, "Hey, you got a moment to talk?" And I was like, "I'm in my session, but yeah, I'll hit you up after my session."
Yeah.
And I did.
She FaceTimed brother, and then I just told her straight up, like,
the communication,
straight communication. We don't leave no chasers. You feel me? I told her straight up, like, yo, at the end of the day, I know that you're used or could be used to, like, someone just giving up on a situation. I say, but
I see how you try to get.
But I'm not gonna do that. Like I'm saying, and the thing is, like, unless you tell me otherwise, like, this ain't.
That's
it.
exactly what he said. Unless you tell me otherwise,
like,
this is I'm present. Like,
yeah, and from there, then that's when we kept going. Like, we got back on track and more communication and everything like that. And then, of course, she still had triggers.
So yeah, so the trauma trigger. So as time went on, of course, like I said, being able to keep receiving this, like, oh, he can reciprocate, all this stuff, it still was a lot.
Right.
But we were still communicating and talking about, like, pacing it out. Like, are you good? He would check and be like, how are you feeling?
Right.
X, Y, and Z. So I had it where I got triggered again. I just called it, I got triggered again for, like, the second time, right?
Right. And the thing is, like, her triggers, it wasn't no basic triggers. Like, and the thing is, I end up knowing her spiritually. So I was like, yo, like, what's up, son? Like,
so then I really had to dive in deep to myself, like, what is triggering me? So then I learned what was triggering me, like when things were too much or what was happening. So we were able to pinpoint what was triggering me.
Yeah.
And we legit, like, we talked through it, but in that second trigger, him not, like, running away or him actually talking with me through that trigger, that also would kind of, like, sealed the deal for me. Like, dang, like, you here, like, you're really here. And so we worked through it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fast forward to another time where I could have potentially been triggered. Like, it was a lot happening. I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I remember telling him that. I'm like, I grew. Like, I was able to see how, like, I had grown. And I'm like, something that would have triggered me, it didn't trigger me.
Yeah.
And I honestly haven't been, like, triggered.
Nah.
Like, ever since. And if I
not
am,
not in that form.
Not in that form, but whenever I do feel something or whatever it is, it's like a lot of emotion. I feel so comfortable to be able to share and talk to DJ about how I'm feeling, what is causing the feeling. He is a solution-based person, which I think most men are. They want to try to fix and solve and all this stuff. You know, like women.
But I know when to.
Yeah, sometimes women, we just want to vent. I don't need for you to try to fix something. I just want to talk and get my emotions out, right?
Yeah. And I tell her, I was like, yo, do you want me to fix? Like,
but I told him that from jump. I learned that from a previous relationship, like, in therapy. If this is a vent, ladies say, honey, this is a vent. Right. I don't need for you to solve anything. I think trying to give people the heads up of what stuff is can kind of make the dynamic easier as well. So if it's a vent, I'd be like, I think I'm just venting right now.
Right.
If it's not, again, he's very solution based, so he'll try to like,
let's sit down, let's try to look it out, let's look at it from all angles, And I honestly think the content of what you gave me when you were triggered, like that's the kind, like you giving me the details of what happened in some of those situations.
So
you ain't gotta talk about it.
I'm not gonna talk about it.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, this is our dynamic. This does not go for everybody.
Right.
This is what makes us. Like I said, this is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in.
Same.
Right. Our dynamic, we talk about a lot of stuff that people would probably find
like what?
Weird.
Yeah, like
uncomfortable.
Like,
but I love it. Give me the
she
details.
do.
I
she
do.
I ain't
People like, you sure you want to hear this?
Oh,
yes, I sure do.
But
it doesn't. But like I said, that works for us because it doesn't bother me like that. Like we talk about past relationships, like X, Y, and Z. Not to be nosy in this. Yes, like it. I like to learn people and understand. I want to know why you think. Or how you think. I want to learn your perspective so I can be not to judge you or throw it in your face.
Right.
It legit helps me like, oh, okay.
I get why you like you are.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I see how your past traumas or your experience have shaped.
And then it all you are. Like, yo, like, you know what? Maybe because you pointed out, I'm like, all right, I could probably switch that up. I don't gotta do it like that.
Right.
Like, so it makes it gives that feel of openness that's needed. Free, that's probably the freest thing to have. Like the fact that again you become like my best friend because I can say anything, I can talk about anything, and it's no holds barred.
It's no holds bars and no judgment. And like I said, I know everybody isn't like this, but what's before me was before me.
Right.
As long as you don't bring nothing after me, and if you bring something after me, anyway.
Nah.
She may be bad. I'm just joking. I'm joking. Right.
No, but not like. But I think. But again, that's another part of communication, right? Mm-hmm. So like we talked about. I mean, when I say we talk about anything and having that open communication is like, yo. This week, or if it's like, yo, this week, like, yo, you been a Pop-Tart right now.
Okay, so I think you said this before. So I also have another thing. I call it a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
You know, people be like,
I ain't gonna lie.
Yes, I came up. I've been had this Pop-Tart term. Like, oh, you being a Pop-Tart. So a Pop-Tart is like, you mad. You not like big mad, but you're mad. Just a little bothered. So I just be like, oh, you're being a little Pop-Tart, a little moody.
Right.
Per se.
Right. So when either one of us feels like the other one is like bringing down the mood because they feel some type of way, it's like, oh, you're a Pop-Tart, huh?
He tried to steal my whole little.
Hey, it's lit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I actually enjoy it because it's not like it's one of those words that isn't like
it's not a negative word.
Yeah, it doesn't make you defensive. Anything like that, it's like, ooh, you calling me Pop-Tart? Like, it don't feel that way. It's like, oh, you funny. Like, or it's like, you know what? I feel that way.
I am a Pop. But that's another thing too, being able to be open communication about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
I think this is such a big thing where I'll work on it. I proactively say that I work on it, but I do hope other people do too. Is learning to be accountable for your stuff.
Yeah.
If you are a Pop-Tart, if you are sad, if you're happy, it really doesn't even matter what it is. Being able to be accountable for your emotions and your feelings. Like, it's important. In a relationship, I feel like that's so important.
It is. And being a man, like one thing about being a man, a lot of us don't have a lot of outlets to go towards. Mm-hmm. For me, growing up, I didn't have a lot of outlets as far as to tell my emotions, show my emotions. In past relationships, I didn't have that either. Like to want to communicate in past relationships and to be told that you're over communicating, like that's a lot, because then at that point you just want to shut down.
Yeah.
And especially as you know now, it's like I wasn't a communicator. So if I was in a past relationship and I was trying to communicate and I was being told I was communicating too much, like it's like, oh, I'm good then. And you know what I'm saying? And I think you've also experienced when I can go here, oh, all right, and then you'll unfold my arms.
I sure did the other day. We was having a conversation. My man's arm folded just like this. I went and unfolded. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I unfolded your arms."
You're not inviting.
And because I said, but that goes to being able to be transparent like that. Can you unfold your arms, because that's not inviting to me to want to talk to you, because you seem bothered or you seem mad.
Right.
Because body language. We communicate with body language so much.
Way more than we think.
Way more than we think.
And you wear your joints on your face.
I know.
So it
was,
if
I don't like something.
Right.
He'll ask me if I like something, and I'd be like, no, you don't like it. Like
we're not even about to go through.
That is not even an option.
Yeah, like we're good. We're
good
here.
We're good here, guys. Right?
That's it. But yeah, so as a man, having that space in this relationship to be able to communicate fully about how I feel, what I'm going through, how my day may be overwhelming, how life is hitting for me at the moment, that plays a major part for me, and to most men, it plays a major part for us to have that outlet in a relationship to talk about anything, especially things of the heart, you know, because men are sensitive, like being 100, like men are definitely sensitive, but even though we're sensitive, we don't get to show that part, because then at some points you're told you're too sensitive, or you're being emotional, or whatever the case may be. But then if we go back to our old ways, it's like, oh, you don't love me no more. No one wants to do that. But I am thankful that we have created a space for that open communication, for me as a man to feel safe. And that's the thing. Like, I feel safe, so that safeness allows me to protect you and have you feel safe.
That security. which is so important.
So important.
Yeah.
And so and I don't think a lot of people understand that men need security too. We need to know that we can say what we need to say on our emotional side. That it's not going to be thrown back at us. That it's going to be accepted for what it is, and it's going to be embraced and listened to and heard. And so that way, when we do it, we know as a man, when to do it, how to do it, with also making sure that you're emotionally intelligent enough to give that.
I made that noise just because emotional maturity, oh God.
Yeah.
There are levels to being emotionally mature, to be able to communicate and function effectively in such a healthy way. Right. When you just said that about, men needing security and to feel safe, it actually, so it made me think about not all women, but some women, and I've definitely seen this. You know how women will be like, I want you to tell me the truth.
Right.
They want to know the truth. No. So they say. Y'all have to be prepared. So if you want to know the truth is not always nice. Sometimes the truth, it can hurt your feelings, right?
Right.
And I hope, if it's a good, healthy type environment, that even if it hurts your feelings, that you allow that truth to be just what it is. That you work through the emotion, you work through the hurt, that you talk to your partner about, it's fine to say what hurt your feelings, but you gotta allow, especially if it's a man, let him tell you the truth.
Right. Let him get it out.
If you want it, be prepared to handle that bad boy.
Exactly.
Like I said, it's not always good.
Nah.
But you are receiving what it is.
but I will say this for a man. It's one thing to tell a woman the truth, but it's another thing to how you tell her the truth. You gotta know your woman and how you deliver. Because if you deliver like truth as an asshole, then you gonna get a backlash.
Oh,
but
definitely.
If you deliver truth in a way like, hey, I'm about to say something to you, and it's not meant to hurt you. It's meant to help us grow, and you give that layout, and you say, hey, I don't like this, that, and the third. That goes from emotional. I mean, from someone that says like, I ain't dealing with this, which is immaturity, versus emotional maturity. To say like, I don't like this because this makes me feel X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I don't. At that point, I'm not coming off insecure. I'm not coming off like I'm just trying to control you. I'm coming off from a standpoint of like, this is what makes me feel this way. Now, when you give it, if you try to just, I just feel like you nagging, so then I'm just gonna give you the truth because you asked me for the truth. Well, then at that point, you've already set the game up for you to get backlash, and it's not gonna go anywhere, and it's going right into the gutter at that point. So you, as a man, you gotta be willing to know, like, and handle what's gonna happen after that, because that's no longer a safe space for you or her. So, as a man, know how to work on your delivery when you're doing it. Learn your woman. That's a major thing. Learn your woman. Learn how she receives things. Learn what's her best way that she needs to receive it. But also that comes to do that, you got to know God. You got to learn God. Like, you got to learn God, because God will allow you to deliver. First of all, God's going to let you have the right woman to deliver the two. That's the one. But then He's going to teach you how to talk to your partner, because your communication wave is through Him. So when she hears you talk as a leader, as a man, she's going to hear God talk. And she hears God talk, it's going to sit right with her heart and her spirit, and not just her mind. So that's
facts.
Yeah.
Big facts.
Gotta do it. So when we're talking about open and transparent communication, it's internal that starts before it becomes external. So if you can internally work on your own triggers, work on your own deliveries, work on your own communication, then at that point, then you can take it externally and give it how it needs to be given.
I ain't even follow up after that. You know what I'm saying? There's I don't even think there's anything additional to be.
I think we gonna stop with that. I think
we're gonna leave it there.
And if y'all got any questions or comments, or there's something y'all want to say, y'all can hit us on the IG page.
Hit us on the IG. Send us a DM. We will we'll respond.
Yeah, we will respond.
To it, but I mean, that's always like, I'm looking forward. To more episodes.
Exactly. Same here. And we look forward to hearing from you all. Like, it makes our day to hear from you all and hear your thoughts and see how you all, enjoy what we're giving, and if you all are receiving it, so that we can learn and study you all to make sure that we're giving the proper stuff. Because again, as we always say, this is God led. At the end of the day, it's a God led. So yeah. So thank y'all for tuning in for another episode. We'll see you on episode 4 next. But all love. Peace.